Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So basically, we will be doing the structure and components of budget. Okay. So students, be very attentive and be very careful. Why? Because this topic is going to be very important. Okay. How it is going to be important? Because there are two terms which you will be getting to know, and in the whole chapter, these two terms will be repeated. Okay. So basically, what happened? Like, what are these two terms? Basically, the term is one is revenue receipt and one is revenue. Sorry, one is receipt and one is expenditure. In previous class, also I just told you about these two things. Like when there was a statement of budget, like what is budget, the annual fiscal statement. So can anyone just tell me what is this? Can anyone just tell me what is receipt and what is expenditure? When I told you the definition of budget, okay, it is the annual statement or something like that. So basically, there were two components, government receipt and government expenditure. So can anyone just tell me what these two terms means? Anyone? No one?
The amount of money spent.
Pardon?
Expenditure is the amount of money spent.
And receipt?
Receipt is
What will the opposite? If you are spending something, what will be the opposite of that?
So receiving money.
Yeah. So basically, yes. I hope you people are not very attentive, right? Only 2 or 3 students are attentive. What about others? Basically, receipt is, I even told you, REC. That means you are receiving something, and expenditure is basically EX. That is exit. Your money is going out, and RE means your money is getting in. Okay. So basically, these are the components. There are two components of budget. One is receipt and one is expenditure. So basically, receipt means what you are receiving. Okay, and expenditure is what you are spending, what is your expenditure, right? So basically, two component. First is budget receipt and budget expenditure. So in budget receipt, there are two types of receipt. One is revenue and one is capital. Okay, revenue is always in the form of money, or you can say, and capital is basically in different parts. Okay, so budget receipt is basically revenue receipt and capital receipt. Okay, but expenditure, it is of three types. One is revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Development expenditure, non-development expenditure. Plan expenditure, non-plan expenditure. Okay, so these are the structure and component. If I will ask you what are the components of budget, you will say, ma'am, there are two components. In budget, we do two things, one receipt and one expenditure. Receipt is of two types, revenue and capital. And budget is of three types, revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, development expenditure, non-development expenditure, plan expenditure, and non-plan expenditure. Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so kindly write it down and then we will be studying in depth, like what this revenue receipt is, what this capital receipt is, everything. Be quick, okay? So today we need to complete lots of things, so be quick.
Done, ma'am.
Others? Done?
1 second, ma'am.
Done now.
I hope everyone is there now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now we are going to do two things. See, students, this is going to be very important portion, so please don't skip it. Okay, see, for example, what happened? Basically, one thing is that whenever you get a money, right? If you are getting money, if you are receiving money, it can be, for example, what you are doing, you are selling something. Okay, first, from money can come, you are selling something. For example, I have my old car, I am selling that, I got money. Second, what you can do, you are borrowing it from someone. Okay, you didn't have any money, you borrowed it from someone. Okay, so basically, what, for example, students, listen to it very carefully. Okay, see, from where you are getting money, there are two options. Either you are selling it or you are borrowing it. Selling means, for example, you had the asset. Asset is the word ASSET. I already told you, asset means basically the product, basically the thing. Okay, if you are getting money, if you are selling it, what will happen? Earlier you had two cars. Okay, now there will reduction in your asset. Now you have only one car. Okay, for example, if you borrow money from someone, you have to pay them, right? You have to pay the money to them with interest. So that is, one is asset and one is liability. Liability. Okay, liability is basically, for example, if I have a interest to pay someone, that is a liability. Okay, what is liability? Basically, if I am taking money from someone, I have to pay that money to that person along with the test. That is a liability. Okay, so these are the two things, asset and liability. So if you are selling money, if you are getting money, you are selling it, that means your assets is getting decreased. But if you are borrowing it from someone, what is happening? Your liability is increasing, right? Your liability is increasing. So these are the two terms, asset and liability. So in the whole things, we will only understand because of this. Either your asset will be decreasing or asset will be increasing, or liability, either your liability will be decreasing or your liability will be increasing. Okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these are the two terms which you have to remember, asset and liability. Asset means the things you have, the product you have. Okay, they can either decrease or increase. Okay, but liability, it can also increase or it can, for example, you are giving it your money to someone. So that means your liability is getting decreased. You have paid all your amount of money, your liability is decreased. In the same thing, you purchase something, your assets increases, right? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, in the very first slide, what we did, budget receipt is of two types. One is revenue, one is capital. Okay. So we will be studying what is revenue and what is capital. Okay. Basically, these are related. Whatever we will be studying over here, it will be opposite of that. Okay. So basically, what is revenue receipt? Revenue, these receipts do not create any liability for the government. Revenue is basically you are getting money. So that means if you are getting money from somewhere, that will not increase your liability. Okay. So in revenue receipt, what happened? These receipts do not create corresponding liability. Like no liability is in there. For example, if you are getting tax receipt, license fees, etc. Okay. These do not cause any reduction in assets. Okay. Because of these receipt, there is no reduction in asset. What I told you, if you are getting money, receipt means getting money. There are two chances. Either your liability will be increased, either your liability will be decreased. Liability and asset. Your asset will be increased or asset will be decreased. Right? But over here, in revenue receipt, your liability do not increase. Okay? And similarly, your asset, there is no reduction in the asset. Okay, these receipts are recurring in nature, like these keep on increasing. Okay, and asset and liability of the government are not affected. Not like your assets will not be affected, your liability will not be affected. Like there is no increase, there is no decrease. Okay, but in capital, these receipts create corresponding liability. Your liability increases. Okay, and these cause reduction in asset. Your assets are being reduced. Okay, these are non-recurring in nature, they don't repeat. Okay, and assets and liability of government are affected. See, just listen to me very carefully again. What I told you, basically, whenever you are getting money, there are two chances, right? Whether either you will be getting your money, like you just a minute. You are getting money. From where you can get money? Either you sold out something, okay, or either you borrowed it from someone. Okay, but over here, what I told you, there are two type of things. Revenue means your money is coming and nothing is being affected, but capital means everything is being affected. Like both of these terms will be affected. Your liability as well as your assets will be affected. Okay, in capital receipt, but in revenue receipt, nothing will be affected. Here, as it is written, these tax, like these receipts do not create any liability. Okay, and they do not create any reduction in asset. Definitely, I told you, if you are getting money, you have to sell your assets, you have to sell your products, right? But here there is no reduction, no decrease in your assets. Okay, and these are recurring again and again. For example, you got a gift. Okay, you got money, you got fines or penalties, like government collects fines and penalties, right? So you got money, government got money, but there was no reduction in asset, right? For example, got getting my point? There are various chances. For example, you are selling out something or you are borrowing it. But similarly, your relatives gave you money. You are getting money, right? So that will always come under revenue, because these two things are not, your assets and liabilities are not getting affected. Okay. So these receipts are recurring in nature and the liabilities of the government are not affected. And capital receipt, these receipts create liability. Okay. For example, you are borrowing it from someone and these cause reduction in assets of government, like recovery of loan. If you want to pay, you are like paying back the loan, or disinvestment. We will study what is this one, disinvestment, everything. Don't worry. And these receipts are non-recurring in nature, and assets and liabilities get affected. Over here, they were not getting affected. I hope I have made myself clear what is the difference between revenue and capital. In revenue, assets and liability won't get affected, and these are recurring in nature. Over capital, assets will also get affected, like there will be decrease in assets, and liabilities will also increase. Okay, so this is the main difference between both the things. You are getting money, but here you are getting money with the help of your like someone is gifting you something. Okay, but over here, either you are selling out your product, selling out your assets, or you are borrowing money from somewhere else. Okay, clear?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so this was the basic difference between revenue and the capital receipt. Just write it down.
Done.
Others? Saif, are you here? Done, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Adib, I'll be taking your class from tomorrow, and Mohammed, your class as well. Okay, you have your exam, right? And Adib also, you have your exam. So I'll be taking your extra classes from tomorrow. Okay, I'll just inform you the timings. You have the class, I guess, same timing, right? You have the class tomorrow. Accounts class, maybe, or some other class.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am, not from me. I'm not joining accounts now.
Okay, okay. Adib, you are available. Okay, then I'll arrange
Yeah.
a class for you, or I'll coordinate with you on WhatsApp. And same with Mohammed, I'll coordinate with you and I'll just share you the timings. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
I hope everyone is done. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anyone who is left? You can let me know. Then I'll not scroll it. Anyone who is left? No, I
Done,
guess.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Students, this table is the most important part, which will help you to explain. Like you will, after drawing this table, you can easily relate everything. What I told you government budget is of two types. In budget, we include two things. One, receipt, like what government is receiving, and one, what government like one, what government is receiving and what government is expendituring. Okay, so basically receipt has two parts. One is revenue receipt and one is capital receipt, right? And after this, revenue receipt is divided into two parts. One is tax revenue and one is non-tax revenue. And then tax revenue is divided into two parts, which is direct tax and indirect tax. And non-tax means over here, like all the things are written here. And capital receipt is always basically in three parts. Okay. In revenue receipt, we discussed that in revenue receipt, government asset don't get affected and liability also don't get affected, right? In revenue receipt. In capital receipt, we studied that in capital receipt, either it will be affecting the liability or it will be affecting the assets. Okay. So revenue receipt are of two types, tax and non-tax. In tax, we have two types of tax, direct tax and indirect tax. What happened? Liability to pay a burden, just don't write this. Okay. No need to write this. Just write the point. Direct tax means income tax, corporate tax, wealth tax, gift, GST tax. It is written, I guess, gift tax. Sorry, gift tax, estate duty, expenditure tax, and indirect sales tax, custom duty tax, excise duty tax, service tax, entertainment tax. And non-tax revenue is basically interest, profit and dividend, fees and fines, external grant, special assessment or taxes, you can say. And in capital receipt, we have recovery of loans, disinvestment, borrowing, provident fund, PF, which is known as. Okay, so draw the table, and after this table, you will be very clear with the a receipt part. That receipt is basically of two types, revenue and capital. In revenue, your assets and liability don't get affected, but in capital receipt, assets and liability get affected. Okay, revenue receipt is of two type, tax and non-tax. Tax is also of two type, direct tax or indirect tax. Direct tax, basically, direct tax are those taxes. For example, I have this property on my name. Okay, so I have to pay the tax for my property. You cannot pay the tax on my behalf. I have to. That is direct tax. Directly, whose property it is, directly that person has to pay tax. But indirect, for example, we went to shopping. Okay, there was a bill, and of course there are some taxes, right? GST and all that. There are taxes that I can also pay. You can also pay. If we can equally pay, right? It is not compulsory that whoever is purchasing that will only pay the tax. Anyone can pay, right? That is indirect tax. Okay, and these are the tax, non-tax, direct and indirect. And non-tax is basically where we get interest, the profit, fines. See, whenever government is, for example, you don't have license and you are riding your car, you're riding or doing anything. You're driving your car, you're riding your bike, anything. There will be a fine imposed on you because you don't have license with you. So that will come under non-tax. Okay, and for example, you got fees. For example, you went to the licensing office, and there you said that I want my license. There you paid fees. Okay, so all this will come under non-tax. Government is getting the money, right? But it is non-tax. Okay, so just draw this table quickly, everyone.
Done, ma'am.
Others done? Let me know once you are done, okay? Done, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anyone who is not done and need one more minute?
1 minute.
Okay, take your time.
Done, ma'am.
I hope everyone is done now. I'm just scrolling it down. Okay. Now, basically, as I told you, just give me 1 minute. Huh? Okay, students, just write it down and then I'll just explain it. Okay, just write it down first. Then see, if you want to make it a difference table, you can it like just like this. You can make it like a box, and over here direct taxes and over there indirect taxes. Or if you want to write it like this, because it is a comparison, so it's totally up to you. Okay, so we'll just start with it. Then I'll just give you 5 minutes. You can write it down. Okay, I'm done. Okay, direct taxes, basically direct taxes are those taxes whose final burden falls on the person who makes the payment to the government. So basically direct taxes are those taxes. For example, if it is my property, then I have to pay the tax. You cannot pay on my behalf. Okay, so direct tax are those taxes whose final burden falls on the person who makes the payment to the government. I purchase the property, I have to pay the tax. I am doing a job, I have to pay the tax. Nobody can pay on behalf of mine. Okay, when the incidence and impact, incidence means whatever I am doing and the impact of the tax lie on the same person, it is called direct tax. Okay, the impact of direct taxation cannot be shifted. For example, if I am doing job, whatever it is impacting me, I cannot shift it. I cannot say that for this month my sister will be paying tax in my behalf. No. Okay, direct taxes are progressive. Why these taxes are done, as I told you now, why these are progressive? In previous chapter we did government, what government do, government impose tax on rich people, right? Why? Just to make the economy more progressive. So direct taxes are always progressive in nature, and these taxes do not affect market price. Because of, for example, you are paying, you have your property, market price won't be affecting, right? Market price of any product won't be affecting, because these taxes are basically the income tax, wealth tax, cooperative tax. Okay, Now coming to indirect taxes. Indirect taxes are those taxes which are paid to the government by one person, but their burden is borne by another person. For example, if you are purchasing something, if you are doing shopping, okay, but who is paying your tax? Your father or mother will be paying your tax because you are not earning right now. Okay, so you are purchasing, you are doing shopping, but burden is always fall on other person. These incidents and impact takes different person. Incidents, you are doing shopping, but your impact is on your parents. Okay, the impact of indirect taxation can be shifted. Here you can shift it. Okay, indirect taxes are generally regressive. It was progressive. These are regressive. For example, you want to purchase a shirt. It is of 200 rupees, but after taxation, it is of 300 rupees. For you, it is okay. You can afford it, but other person cannot afford it. So basically, these are always regressive in nature. Indirect taxes have direct and positive impact on the market price. Positive effect is, for example, the price of the product was 10 rupees, but after taxation it is 20 rupees. So basically positive effect. It always increase the market price of the product. An example are good GST is a basic example of indirect taxes. I hope I have made myself clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can write it down. Okay, you can zoom it from your end. Mariam, you were not done with the previous part, like the table. If not, after this, I'll scroll it down. Okay, okay. Actually, I saw your message.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone is done?
Done, ma'am.
I hope everyone is done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, basically, now what, see, what we have done till now, we know what is revenue receipt, we know what is capital receipt, right? We know tax revenue. Tax revenue is basically, it is of two types, direct and indirect. Now, what is non-tax revenue, right? Over here, we there were few terms like interest receipts, profit and dividend, fees, fines. So now we will understand these things in deeply. Okay. Basically, non-tax receipts are those receipts which are received from source other than tax. See, tax is basically money which you are receiving through tax. Okay, but if you are receiving money other than taxes, okay, if you are receiving money other than taxes, then it is non-tax receipt. Okay, like fees, fines, all these comes under non-tax. Tax is basically cooperative tax, GST, income tax, all this. But if I'm paying fine, if I'm paying any fees, this is always come under non-tax. Okay, so fees are basically one of the main source of non-tax revenue of the government. Okay, whenever you go, fees is a compulsory payment. Fees provide specific benefit to players. Fees not a payment. So basically, fees, you know what is. Okay, fees is basically if you are paying anything for in return of any service, that is a fees. Then license and permits, it is a payment made to government to seek permission. For example, if you are opening a shop and you want license for that, or you can say permit fees. License is basically the permission. Okay, so you have to again pay to government that yes, I want license for this particular shop, or I want license for my car. So, or you are paying any permit fees, that also come under non-tax receipt. You know, no need to write all this. Basically, if you feel like you don't understand any word, you can. Okay. Then special assessment. Special assessment is basically if I'm owning something, if I have any property, then also I have to basically see, it is the payment which is made by the owners of those property whose value has appreciated due to development activities of the government. For instance, when a result of development of IT sector, value of neighboring property or its rental value appreciates, then the basically special assessment is, for example, if I have a property and it is affecting somewhere, okay, it is increasing, so what I have to pay it to government, right? You have seen that whenever we construct a home, we have to pay few part to the corporates, the MCD and all that. So that is special assessment. Okay, then escheat is basically government, which basically the legal here, like legally your property belongs to this. There are lots of property, some are legally, some are illegal. Okay, so basically if you want that stamp on you that this property is a legal property, that you have to pay it to government. Fines and penalties, for example, you jumped the traffic light, or it was written that if you will spit over here, there will be 200 rupees fine over you, and you spit it over there. So that is fines and penalties. That also comes under non-tax revenue. Then gift and grant. For example, what happened? Gift is basically someone from America came to India. Maybe the president, prime minister of other state came over here and they gifted some amount to us. That is also come under non-tax revenue. And grant means, for example, our country was facing issues due to coronavirus. Okay, so what happened? Somebody came, like some other government helped us. So that is a grant. Okay, like whenever we help someone in natural calamities like flood, earthquake, that is a grant. Okay, then income from public enterprises. Income means, for example, you have your own Indian oil thing, Vilai steel plants and all this thing. So basically you have to pay some price to government. That is income from public enterprises. Interest on loan. For example, you have taken loans from bank. You are paying interest. That is also a non-tax receipt. Okay. Similarly, there is a four feature of bonds. Like whenever what happened, these are the penalties. Okay, non-fulfillment. For example, there is a contract that on daily basis, on monthly basis, you will be giving me 100 rupees, but somewhere you didn't give it to me. Okay, so that is the bond, and you have to pay the fine. This is basically the fine you will be giving to the government. That is known as forfeiture of bond. Okay, clear?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
hope
Yes.
it's clear. No need to write all this. These were the basic terms which you need to remember, that all these terms comes under non-tax revenue. If I'll ask you what are fees and fines, fees and fines is a tax revenue or non-tax revenue? Definitely, you will quickly say, ma'am, it is a non-tax revenue. Okay, if I'll ask you what are fines and penalties, non-tax revenue or the tax revenue, you will say, ma'am, non-tax revenue. So these are the terms which you need to clear, which you need to remember, that these are either tax revenue or non-tax revenue. Okay. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
I hope everyone is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we are done with this tax and indirect tax, and we are done with non-tax revenue. Now only thing is capital receipt. What I told you, capital receipt basically either it will increase or decrease your assets, or it will increase or decrease your liability. Right. So now coming to it, basically it had few points like recovery of loans, disinvestment, borrowing, PF, all that. So we'll just look into that. Okay. So what happened? Basically, first, what is borrowing and other liabilities? For example, if I am borrowing it from someone, what will happen? Who will tell me? What will happen? If I will borrow money from someone, what will happen? My asset will be affected or my liability will be affected. Asset or liability, what will be affected?
Liability.
Yeah. How it will be affected? Increase or decrease?
Increase.
Yeah. Okay. Heba, same question. Like, what do you understand? If you are borrowing it from someone, what will affect your assets or liability?
Liability.
Yeah. How?
We have to like give it back. So like
Yeah. So basically, your liability will be increase or decrease?
increase.
Okay. Great. Increase. Okay. So basically, borrowing are basically they creates liability. Like if you are borrowing it to someone, you have to give it back. So basically, your interest rate is increasing and it is putting a burden over it. Okay. And what happened? Debt creating capital receipt. Okay. So borrowing and liabilities are basically if you borrow someone, of course, they will affect your liabilities. And that's why they come under capital receipt. Right? They don't come under revenue receipt. Why? Because in revenue, your assets and your liabilities don't get affected. But over here, they get affected. So if you borrow, your liabilities, assets are not basically affecting, your liabilities is being affected. Then recovery of loans. For example, you have given loan, the debtor are the assets to government. For example, what was happening? See, don't get confused, okay? So what happened? For example, this is you. You have given loan to someone. You have given loan to this person. Okay, this is a person. For example, he has already paid all the loans. Earlier, he was paying you, so he was paying you the tax as well. So now he has completely paid all the money. From next month, he won't be giving you any loan. He won't be giving you any interest. He recovered all the loan. So basically, this person was your asset. Because of this person, you were getting money on monthly basis or you can say yearly basis. But now he has paid all his money. He has paid all his loan. From next month, you won't be getting anything. So this is basically what is this? This is basically recovery of loans. If someone already paid all the money, what will happen? Your asset will be decreased. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this you people will be writing. Okay, I'll be giving you time and you will be writing this. Okay, now next what happened? Other receipt. Other receipt basically it includes the capital receipt, disinvestment. Okay, disinvestment is basically if you are investing somewhere, that means you are investing, you are giving your money. But if this investment is basically occurs when government sells, if you are giving it to someone, that is investment. For example, you are purchasing something, that is an investment. But in case you are not purchasing, you are selling something, that is a disinvestment. If you are purchasing, that is a investment. But if you are selling something, it is a what is it is a disinvestment. So basically what happened? It reduces as asset, right? If you are selling your something, it is a disinvestment. And what will happen? Because of that, there will be reduction in asset. And when when your assets and liability get affected, that is known as capital receipt. Okay, I hope I have made myself clear. But you will write first borrowing and other liabilities. Borrowing creates liability. Just write this. Okay, borrowing creates liabilities. And recovery of loans, you will write the debtor means the one who has taken loan. The debtor are assets for the government. Recovery of loans cause reduction in assets. Why? Because he has already paid all his loan. Now he won't be paying you any money of the government. Hence, recovery of loans is a capital receipt. What happened? Just write it over till here. Okay. And other receipt, you can say other receipt means disinvestment. Or instead of other receipt, you can write disinvestment. And disinvestment is opposite to investment. Okay. You will write disinvestment is the opposite of investment. And then you will write disinvestment occur when the government sells off its shares of okay, when the government sells off its shares of public sector enterprises to privates. What government is doing? Government is selling its shares to private sector. Okay, and it is also known as privatization. Okay, so what happened because of this? there is reduction in asset. You can write in own language, because of this reduction in asset takes place, or you can write it causes reduction in assets. Okay, that's why all these things. If I'll ask you, the question will be like this: recovery of loans is a capital receipt or revenue receipt? You will write, ma'am, revenue of loans is a capital receipt. Why? Because recovery of loans decreases our assets, and when assets and liability gets affected, it always comes under receipt, capital receipt. Okay, so write it down, all 3 points. Borrowing of loans, borrowing and other liabilities increases or creates liability. Okay. And also write this: the government borrows loans from general public, market borrowing, Reserve Bank of India, or rest of the world like World Bank, IMF. Okay, somewhere questions come from where government borrows money. Okay, and then recovery of loans, till here you have to write, and then other receipt. Instead of other receipt, you can write disinvestment.
Done, ma'am.
Others, if you are done, you can leave the meeting. Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, those who are done, you can leave. Bye bye.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
ma'am. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, ma'am. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night. Take care.